My name is Ryan Noss. I'm a Stewardship Ambassador. I'm a certified public health educator. I'm a dad, and I own and operate We Grow With LLC. We Grow With Acres, and I just got back from the conference. It was an amazing trip, and I'd love to debrief some of those new experiences that have taken place. So, grateful for the connection of community already grown. Chad actually was fortunate enough to be able to pick me up from the airport. This was the 50th anniversary of the Acres Eco-Ag Conference. These are the OGs who in farming have been trying to do it and working with nature. And some of them are showing their age, but that's why the next generation is fulfilling some of these needed roles. So it really a great conference. It is really heavy when it comes to the material covered, but I found out I would be attending the day prior to being there. And so, still wearing my sandals, found this to be what the rest of the environment looked like. It was single digits for a little bit of that time, at which point I had to worry about my toes, because those are the single digits you worry about at that temperature. But it was an amazing environment to actually watch change as well. And this winter season is an often overlooked time period of maintaining momentum in working with nature's cycles. So if you find your land, except for the parking lot there, that at different times looks like this with that blanket of snow, then there are other things that you can do to maximize that air and water. So, a lot of the thought process that I'm filtering things through now is through this secondary metabolite channel, because it's understanding how that ecosystem is represented into the larger holistic view. And when dealing with different metrics and testing, we need to have a metric that's actually independent of people, independent of the management practices, an actual marker from the biological system that helps us to recognize where it's at in health or the byproducts of that health, which is why this metabolite is so important. And this metabolite and the importance of it is not just for us people. This is a process that stimulates the powerhouse of cells, including the microbiome, including the soil microbiome, including the larger ecosystems. And so being able to have a tangible marker to gauge that is very different than squabbling about what nutrient density means, because we can talk about what healthy is. So a lot of really great research that I've been diving into about how it then affects our mitochondrial energy house of our house. Great presentations throughout the conference. This is a really kind of a fun way to look at describing how these are microbial guilds. Guilds are traditionally connected to functions. Like, this is the blacksmith guild. Well, these are the biology that do that. This is the carpenter's guild. This is the biology that fulfills those. And so it crosses over between different bacterial species, but also crosses over between kingdoms. And so that would also include different fungi and their roles in those ecosystems. And so these guilds, this perspective, I really appreciated it. And you can see the flow chart there on the right. If we realize that it is a flow chart, it might actually be better described if you were looking down a churning washing machine spiraling down into a vortex versus the red and blue and green lines. Like, that's that intertwining of these different guilds. Another great report. So there was a tremendous amount of research also presented about the use of different herbicides. Those herbicides then have consequences. Within the industry, it's called a mode of action, but that mode of action then is what it's doing within a biological perspective, that mode of action is causing a reaction within the other system. And so if it's a herbicide, as an example, well, then it's going to kill the plant. That's the side. Anytime you hear side, it's really about choosing which side of that life or death line you're on. Because if it's an insecticide and you're using it, you're saying that I'm on the side of killing things versus I'm on the side of living. And it seems weird, but that line, but that's why it's so confusing, because there's herbicides, fungicides, nematicides, all the sides, even suicide, there's that line, versus deciding which side. And so that's why we grow with life, and it can fulfill these functions for us versus these chemical compounds suppressing or regressing a system. There's actually a different slide a little later that really gets into some of the details of how it's affecting our systems. Not only is this herbicide utilized, but it is not just killing one thing, it's promoting another. So it's not just a negative, it is actually promoting pathogenic species. And so this is an example of some of the pathogenic species that are promoted by the use of this product and these practices. Now, it's not directly connected to this or to this product, but it's connected to the mode of action. These species dominate when it's unhealthy. That's why. And because it's unhealthy, then you will have wilt, black goo, root rot, SDS, cankers. Like, depends on the different industries as how these things are played out through those plants. But these things are being promoted because it's promoting unhealth versus health. The connections are pretty clear and shockingly amazing. When they're all kind of the same thing in the middle, you can see there's feedback loops within every aspect of our society that then pulls it back into a cause-effect, push-pull relationship. So question and answers are always a fun opportunity, and if you can see the beautiful brain trust that's established on the podium.
Dr. Hamilton's biology was paleo, so that she can put it in a bag to give them the compost that they would require.
I think the paleo will do it itself, especially if it's put into the Johnson production.
I understand the Johnson amendment. That's not the... Okay.
One aspect of this that I observed is that when someone's asking a question, every single person has an answer. And it may not have been this exact moment, but this kind of resonated with me, of we all have to be on the same page. That page, though, is in everyone else's different books, but it's still the same page. And because we're not on the same page, then as we try to describe it, we get distracted by the drama of those individual books versus understanding that we're actually participating in the biological literacy of the book of nature.
And then put these tools with.
Can I ask a question for the panel? That I think she's asking.
There's a lot of questions with, I think, and so being able to actually get the answer so that they know led to an amazing conversation later where those questions were answered. I came across this while I was there. It's a wonderful visual reference of a lot of different perspectives and then how it translates both three-dimensionally and two-dimensionally. So, if anybody, that's a really great visual representation. This is some of the topics that were discussed, and for some of the people there discovered. Like, this is an opportunity for us to really get into the details of how these systems function so that we can best work with them. This was done by Dr. James White, so I remember the presentation. And when we're talking about endophytes, we're actually talking about the biology that's flowing in and up and down through the plant itself. With different dyes and markers, we can see that visually. Another great reason to have the epifluorescence module by LW Scientific. You just pull out the knob and the lights turn on. You can see the biology being taken in and out. This is part of that Dr. James White's rhizophagy presentation. Buddy Matt was there. He had the opportunity to share with people about some of the microbiome there at the Hiawassee booth.
And this again, it sounds so pragmatic and maybe boneheaded, but if these things can get their mouth around it, they're going to eat it. The hard and fast rules around these things, if you just look at it and let it speak to you, and you know enough about the space, like and you develop your eye by seeing it enough, it becomes obvious.
I like that. It does become obvious. And I'm a firm believer that when you observe, it develops that understanding of what should be obvious for your service. That's why when you're observant, you're a servant. And Matt's doing a great job. And the products and material produced by Hiawassee are exceptional. And this is just a small portion of the vendor area, but you can see the place is packed and a tremendous amount of actually, that's Jim Martindale in the front. We had a wonderful conversation about his Curse Buster. So it's a mechanical machine that actually mimics biomimicry like a herd of buffalo running through. Does great things for that soil structure. Donna Huber spoke, which it was really good to see him as he's getting older. The effects of this herbicide are affecting everything. And sometimes it's not a direct effect, but it's an enzyme cofactor. And so you can see in the fact that it's a mineral chelator, it's an herbicide, it's actually patented to kill life and antibiotic. It's persistent in the soil and the environment, doesn't just go away. It's systemic in plants and animals. This is not something that stays on the outside. It gets in it and in us. It's an endocrine hormone disruptor. What's a fancy way of saying it makes it hard to make babies anymore. It's a synthetic amino acid, which is why it's so close to being real that it confuses even the plants. And at that point, it sneaks into that system even more so. It's a carrier for heavy metals, and there's a lot of different understanding of going, well, it depends on what those heavy metals are, and then how it can mask that and sneak it into things where it's not supposed to be. One factor is all the individual elements. We're talking at an elemental level, and so calcium, as an example, is huge. It's a major player. Like zinc is a huge player. Like all of these different components, iron as an example, like these are essential elements because they're required for life. That's what essential means. And if we are taking these puzzle pieces out of our system, that's why we have chronic toxicity. That's why there are allergens. That's why there's growth inhibitor and DNA mutations. Yeah, humble, but we have solutions to all of this. This is the important part of having integrity and understanding. Right? But I will say, and we still have 2 hours more of programming. And yet the products are leaving. Yep. The people are still here. The products are leaving. Yeah. Go. So this was the side of the vendor area while the keynote speaker last address, the big love everybody farewell was taking place. And I recognize at that moment there is still that fuzzy line between business and livelihood. And as I'm watching this place just descend and disappear, everybody who went into this last meeting, it was still there. And so when they came out, they were just like, where'd everybody go? And on a much smaller level, but still very real. The reason why I was there is because these two young men have found a spot to hide with a giant bag of candy and a pair of headphones so that they could keep watching Minecraft, right? Versus participating in all the real that's going on around them. Like, this is why it's so important to bring and participate these next generations. Part of the last question and answer panel. All right. Tremendous people inside this room doing amazing things. The Acres community is truly grounded and growing. That's me. That was shared by Gabe. Some of the other individuals that have actually turned this into more than just a bunch of farmers, but have allowed a bunch of farmers to do so much more. And truly grateful for everybody that was there and the participation, the caliber of people, the integrity of purpose. Really, really wonderful. Some even got to go hang out and have dinner. Some just needed a nap. So heal your soil and heal your soul. I hope everyone has an opportunity to see some of the blessings from the Acres this year, 2025. Thank you, and we grow with. My name is Ryan Noss. I'm a Stewardship Ambassador. I'm a certified public health educator. I'm a dad. And I own and operate We Grow With LLC. We Grow With helps people to differentiate between fertilizer and fertility. We use products and services. We equip people with the observation tools they need, as well as the products that make their jobs easier, allowing them to turn dead dirt into living land at any scale.